The first name often mentioned in old Hollywood gossip columns is Clara Bow, the original It Girl. Clara Bow was magnetic on screen, bursting with energy and sensual charm, but off-camera she reportedly lived chaotically. Studio assistants and costume designers later claimed that Clara hated bathing and avoided it for days at a time, especially during intense filming schedules. In the silent era, actresses worked long hours under blistering hot lights, and heavy wool costumes trapped sweat. According to studio insiders, Clara often arrived on set smelling strongly of body odor mixed with cigarette smoke. Directors allegedly complained but were powerless because audiences adored her. At the time, personal hygiene was rarely discussed publicly, and deodorant was still a novelty product. What shocked crew members was not just the smell, but how little the studio intervened, choosing box office success over discomfort. Another legendary name surrounded by whispers was Marlene Dietrich. Known for her icy beauty, sultry voice, and masculine elegance, Marlene carefully crafted her public image. However, several co-stars later claimed that Dietrich refused frequent bathing, believing it dried out her skin and dulled her natural scent. Some memoirs written decades later describe her as having a strong musky odor during long shoots, especially under stage lights. While some found it unpleasant, others said she considered it part of her allure. In an era obsessed with artificial glamour, Marlene's rejection of certain hygiene norms became part of her rebellious persona, though it reportedly unsettled many around her. Mae West, one of Hollywood's boldest personalities, also found her way into these stories. Mae was famous for her sharp wit and unapologetic sexuality, but her off-screen habits were reportedly just as unconventional. According to studio rumors, Mae avoided frequent bathing because she believed it weakened her vitality. Instead, she relied heavily on strong perfumes, which often mixed with sweat rather than masking it. Crew members later joked that you could smell Mae West before you saw her enter a room. Yet no one dared criticize her openly, as she wielded enormous power over her scripts, costumes, and image. Then there was Joan Crawford, the queen of intensity. Joan was known for her obsessive perfection on screen, but behind the scenes, she allegedly struggled with hygiene during emotionally draining productions. According to some co-stars, Joan avoided showering during long filming days to save time and preserve her makeup. Under heavy costumes and hot lights, this reportedly led to noticeable body odor. Ironically, Joan was also famous for her extreme cleanliness at home, particularly later in life, which makes these stories even more fascinating. It highlights how brutal studio schedules often pushed stars beyond basic self-care. Bette Davis, one of Hollywood's most respected actresses, was also rumored to have hygiene habits that shocked others. Known for her fierce independence and refusal to conform, Bette reportedly dismissed concerns about body odor as trivial compared to her craft. Several actors later claimed that during intense scenes, her breath and sweat could be overwhelming. Bette herself never denied being indifferent to such criticisms, once saying she was paid to act, not to smell pretty. Her attitude reflected a broader resistance many actresses had toward being controlled in every aspect of their lives. Vivien Leigh, remembered as one of the most beautiful women ever captured on film, had her own whispered stories. Vivien struggled with mental health issues and exhaustion, particularly during long productions. According to biographers, during depressive episodes, she neglected personal hygiene entirely. Co-stars reportedly noticed strong odors during filming, especially when she was physically unwell. Studios carefully concealed this reality, protecting her image at all costs. Her story serves as a reminder that glamour often masked serious personal struggles. Another name frequently mentioned in Hollywood memoirs is Rita Hayworth. Rita was marketed as a flawless goddess, yet those who worked closely with her claimed she hated bathing and avoided water whenever possible. Some said she found showers uncomfortable and preferred perfume instead. Over time, the combination of sweat, heavy makeup, and strong fragrance reportedly became overpowering. Studio publicists aggressively suppressed these stories, ensuring the public never associated the love goddess with anything less than perfection. Greta Garbo, the woman who wanted to be alone, also lived by her own rules. Garbo was famously private and detached, and this extended to her hygiene habits. Several crew members later claimed that Garbo bathed infrequently and disliked perfumes, resulting in a strong natural body odor. She reportedly believed excessive cleanliness was unnecessary and even unhealthy. Garbo's status protected her from criticism, and no one dared confront her about it. Her mystique only grew stronger because of her indifference to public opinion. Tallulah Bankhead, one of the wildest personalities of classic Hollywood, was perhaps the most notorious. Tallulah lived hard, drank heavily, smoked constantly, and reportedly neglected hygiene entirely during her partying years. Actors who worked with her claimed her breath and body odor were overwhelming, especially during stage performances. Tallulah herself joked openly about her habits, once laughing that cleanliness was overrated. Unlike others, she never tried to hide it, making her stories some of the most candid in Hollywood history. Finally, there was Ava Gardner, whose beauty bordered on mythical. Ava was known for her love of nightlife, alcohol, and late mornings. According to co-stars, she often arrived on set without bathing after long nights out. Under hot lights, the result was reportedly noticeable. Directors complained quietly, but Ava's star power shielded her from consequences. She was famously defiant, once telling a producer she was hired for her face, not her scent. What makes these stories so fascinating is not the shock value alone, but what they reveal about the era itself. Daily showers were not universal. Deodorant was still being marketed as optional, and actresses were often worked to physical and emotional exhaustion. Studio lights generated extreme heat, costumes were thick and heavy, and filming schedules were relentless. Hygiene took a back seat to survival. Many of these women were also rebelling against a system that controlled their weight, hair, voice, relationships, and even their private lives. Neglecting hygiene became, for some, a quiet act of defiance. It is also important to remember that these stories come from memoirs, interviews, and secondhand accounts, often written years later. Memory fades, grudges form, and gossip grows with time. Still, the consistency of these claims across multiple sources suggests that the golden age of Hollywood was far less polished than studio publicity led audiences to believe. Behind the glowing screens and glamorous premieres, classic Hollywood was sweaty, exhausting, and deeply human. These actresses were not flawless icons, but real people navigating a brutal industry with limited autonomy. Their stories remind us that